And hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting
Hello.
edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. A lot of exciting things that have come down the pike so far this week, with more on the way. We have a good sturdy crew of three in here today. As Jared is on his way to South Bend to cover a little football action for the Cards today with his trusty camera, and was kind of debating whether he was going to go or not, but he has decided to make the trip. He took a little storm damage, as some did in our community just recently. Uh, so, one of the other things we have is no Daryl today. Daryl is out that louder than life today. One of the what would you call it? I guess yearly concerts that they hold here in town. Case would that be maybe the best description of it? I've never
Annual
been to one.
annual music festival.
An annual music festival. I like that terminology. That's good. I was looking at the list of performers that are going to be there. So there's some pretty good stuff going on there, right?
Yeah, not last night. Whoever was on the headliner list for last night was um, scrubbed. So unfortunate there for fans of I don't even remember who was supposed to be last night, but they delayed the gates opening out of uh, safety for attendees, and then acted like they were going to open them between like 6 and 7 p.m. And then, from what I heard, ended up just uh, scrubbing the whole day. So
Yeah, it's got to be rough on the performers up there too. I mean, you're standing on a wet wooden platform with electricity next to your body. Probably not the best thing, huh?
yeah, not on my to do list.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be leaning into yelling to a microphone and all of a sudden getting a nice little like 110-volt shock that knocked me halfway across the stage. Nope, not for me. But anyway, fun to them out there. Daryl loves to go to those concert festivals. I think if I'm not mistaken, her fiance is a musician. Is he a drummer or something? Do you remember, Case? Or
I think that's right.
okay, Jeff is not being silent by nature. He's working on our audio right now, where we are still being streamed from what he just typed in here. So that's good. You can hear us at home, but and I think he may be back with us now. We'll see.
He's
But
he's bouncing in and out, so we'll see if he decides to chime in.
kind of like our field hockey team today, been bouncing in and out of this contest, but unfortunately, the Cards are about to take a loss out at Traeger today. Case Boston College up 1-0. Uh, Cards just haven't been able to get anything past a very, very good Boston College goalkeeper. And Louisville about to take the loss, and I think they would drop them to 5-4, if I'm not mistaken, sir.
That's right.
Uh,
They're trying. Um, they just had another corner, but
yeah,
their shot was blocked. So, um, yeah, unfortunate there.
and it looks like they're going to get another corner attempt here. I'm kind of watching here on my side screen here, which is really not much I need to see on our screen right now. So, okay, so while we got you on here, we watch this kind of happen down here. How did your week go? Anything interesting happen?
Not really. Uh, no, not really. It's just been a busy week and preparing for the rains that came and then they came and that was pretty much it. The yard is kind of a lake. The ground that was conditioned for the drought suddenly is no longer in a drought. But yeah,
I know the farmers were really happy to see this rain come in for the most part, but the average homeowner, I guess like me or maybe you or others, but it's going to bring down a lot of leaves. Obviously, weather like this does, and then also you get into the condition of where you get the winds high, like they've been recently. They can create almost kind of like a sail effect on trees.
Hmm.
And if a tree is not very sturdy and well rooted in its position in your yard or another yard or something, there's a chance that those winds just may take that bad boy down. So I've seen that around the neighborhood a little bit in my drives. So, but other than that, I was kind of looking. You were in process of writing an article as I was talking with you earlier today. Let's take a
I did get it up. It was just about volleyball. There wasn't much to say about field hockey other than that it got postponed, and it is final. They did.
yeah. We have gone final now. A 1-0 game. How about that? So the Cards unable to score, and then they've been able to score pretty well this year too uh, on opponents, but kind of a rough start so far for them at 5-4, but still in the top 15, which I guess was that lead to the strength of the conference. I guess would be the first thing you would look at here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Boston College is one of the top teams in the country, so this was going to be a tough one. They held their own. Would have been nice to pick up a win, but they don't have much time to lick their wounds. They'll hit the road, head up to Ohio State for another top 5 matchup tomorrow.
And the Buckeyes definitely having a very, very good season this year up there as well in Columbus. So another tough one ahead. But the tough loss today, unfortunately, to start the day of a busy day of Louisville sports. But yesterday, and certainly the Cards returned to a familiar spot. Jeff, are you with us and can
I
comment
am.
on
I
it
am
a little
back.
bit? They are
I
back.
managed to trigger one of the several different possible ways that my audio could be muted and didn't notice it. So,
This is like when I had my microphone turned off the other day.
yeah. This one is I have to switch tabs to like start the broadcast, right? The streaming and everything. I have to hit 2 different tabs in my browser. And like many computer engineers, I have lots of tabs open in my browser. And there's a place, if you click in the right spot on the tab, it'll mute the tab. And I didn't realize that I hit that. So, yeah. One of those days.
We can put that in the column user error.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Definitely was.
A term what's exclusively used for me at this site.
But no. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. It happens.
It's good to see others and sharing in my misfortune.
Yeah.
Misery loves company. Last night we got a little volleyball. Was California came into an old and was I right in hearing this on the broadcast last night, Jeff, that this was the first one they've actually had on campus this year?
Yes. This was the first match at L&N FC Arena this year. All the matches up to this point, all the home matches had been at down at the KFC Yum Center. So we go back there again tomorrow. So it's I guess I don't know when the next one is. The next home match maybe will be.
Yeah, they will have a very, very strong Stanford team coming into town on Sunday. And then after that, we go all the way till next Friday when Clemson will come to visit the Cards. I would assume that one would be on campus as well, but
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
I haven't looked that forward on it yet. We know that Stanford will be down at the KFC Yum Center. And
I think Stanford is the last one until Pittsburgh.
Until Pitt, yeah, right at the end of the season.
Yeah,
maybe,
that's a month away almost, yeah.
Not at the end, close to that.
Actually, more than that.
It's 2 months away.
Yeah, because we play there on the 25th of October.
Yeah, we play. It is the second to last match of the season that we play Pittsburgh in the Yum Center. So just got to get ourselves back used to the Yum Center right before, hopefully, we host 6 matches in a row there.
Yeah, hopefully 6 straight. That'd be great.
Yeah, what the guys are referring to, if you're not totally up on it, is that Louisville will be hosting the Final Four this year for volleyball in D1. Always a prestigious event, of course, as it is in any major sport. The KFC Yum Center will be the place of attention as 4 teams will come in here. Hopefully one of them in the Cardinal uniforms.
And that's rounds 5 and 6, and the first 4 rounds are hosted at campus sites.
Yeah.
So if the Cards get their job done through the conference schedule and can end up with a top 4 seed, they are guaranteed those first 4 rounds will also be at the KFC Yum Center. First 2 rounds almost certainly will. We would have to have an epic collapse for that to be in danger. But third and fourth rounds, if we don't get that top 4 seed, we might have to go somewhere else for those rounds. So I'd like to avoid that.
We'd be fine indeed if we could. Uh, and one of the things also that I want to touch on just a little bit before we get into this Cal match from last night is a lot of people are still making the call and the cry for an on-campus arena for the Cards to play their volleyball in. But if they could get in this kind of crowd to the KFC Yum Center, really, that's a benefit, isn't it?
Oh gosh, man. Certainly to start out with, I think reasonable people can disagree on this. I think I think it would be great to have an arena, and I've been saying about 6 to 8,000 capacity on campus. Get more of the students out. Give a livelier, bigger crowd, but still compact. But we brought in Nebraska, and we had 14,000 in there. So I've been saying 6 to 8,000, thinking that would be enough to have the crowd that's going to show up, plus a little bit extra for big games. But man, if we're going to start pulling in, we had Kentucky last year with 12-6. This year with Nebraska was 14 plus 14-1 something. Maybe 6 to 8 isn't enough. Maybe we just need to go straight down and have the whole season at the KFC Yum Center. I don't know.
Certainly, if you build an on-campus arena, and we've talked about it before, 6 to 8,000, like you said, is probably the number that they would end up with
Mhm.
and settle with. But then, for example, like Stanford, you would have had, nobody would be, 6,000 people wouldn't have been able to get in to see that. So maybe the plans. Well, we'll see what happens with it right now. There are no official plans. They will continue to play their games in 2 home arenas, one on campus at the LNFCU, as we like to call it, and the other downtown at the KFC Yum Center. Moving on today's match, Case had the right up on this today, uh, and certainly the match that took place for the Cards as you take a look at what coming in here, Cal. They're a new member to the conference, and as Case kind of said in his article here, if you haven't read it yet, the Cal is not very good, even though they were 8-4 coming in. Which is kind of a quandary as far as as the average person might observe. Well, they're 8-4. What do you mean they're not very good, Case?
Well, they haven't played anybody. uh, they've played now after last night. They've played 5 Power 5 matches, and that's assuming Utah made it. Is Utah in the Big 12 now? I'm pretty sure they are. But 5 Power 5 matches, and they've won 1 set in those matches. They're 1-15, and that's not very good. So their wins are over like San Francisco, University of Nevada. They haven't lost any of those matches to the non-Power 5 teams, but anytime they play someone, even that's not very good, and they got swept by Colorado. Yeah, they're having a struggle. They opened the season with a 5-set loss to UC Davis in an exhibition match. So you got to win the games that you play, which is something else that I said in the article. And this was a huge trap game between Nebraska, big game last Sunday, Stanford, big game tomorrow. This was a big trap opportunity to kind of lose some focus against a team like Cal, and fortunately the Cards didn't do that. So
Fortunately, they were able to pull it through in a straight to set kind of deal. Uh, Looking at what happened last night, Jeff, we got a lot of De Beer and not in a drinking sense, but on an on-court sense, in Anna DeBeer and also Sophia Maldonado Diaz. So both of them leaders for the Cards last night offensively with kills.
Oh, maybe his headset remains flaking on him.
And did we lose Jeff again?
He's just having a morning today.
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't drink that extra cup of coffee, and it's getting to him right now.
I guess
He
so.
needed
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can.
Oh, we'll get you now.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a great morning. All right. Yeah. No. Anna DeBeer, Sophie Maldonado Diaz, both 8 kills, decent offensive outing. Neither team really lit up the offense last night. But what last night was Elena Scott highlight reel as libero. She was getting everything, popping up balls that just like were just mind-boggling. Sports Center top 10 sorts of plays. So, all over the place. Highest dig total of her career, I think, was what they ended up with. So,
I mean, that's not surprising. She had 26, so that's a lot.
and they were, she was throwing herself all the way, sticking her hand out one-handed, popping it up, going right to the setter. They were just spectacular plays. So.
There certainly is a lot of talk in circles right now about the Cards maybe having 2 players that could be considered candidates for ACC Player of the Year. And I think when you take a look at it, certainly you have to look at Anna DeBeer as being one of those. But what say you about our very, very good player that we have in her?
Yeah. She is in the discussions for it. So far this season, I think she's just been a little bit off her edge and off the edge that she would need to get that sort of honor. And similarly for National Player of the Year sorts of discussions, there, Anna and Elena are both in those discussions as well. Anna is an amazing player. She's a wonderful woman. She's doing very well. She's contributes a huge amount to this team, but I just think she's a little off this edge. I think she's capable of it, but she's got to hone that edge just a little bit and maybe get a little bit out of her own head on some things. I think she's pushing so hard this season that maybe she's a little bit off that edge. So, I'd love to see her win that, but win those honors, both conference and national. But got a little work to do to get there, I think.
DeBeer, of course, one of the COVID kids who's in her 5th year with the Cards and certainly playing very, very, very strong. I think last night there was a situation where you had 2 pretty easy wins in the first 2 matches. First 2 games of the match, and then the 3rd game, Danny obviously doing some substituting and sending some people in and out. In fact, I think she played. Did she play everybody last night, Jeff? Or?
I don't think so. I don't think PK saw the floor.
Correct. PK didn't play, and I don't know if that was because she was held out for a reason or.
Yeah, I don't know. Hannah Sherman started in the middle position in her place and did a very fine job. I don't know if that was just an opportunity to give her some reps and some time playing, but I did notice that. Yeah.
Other than PK, I think everybody played. We played
I think
12 players.
Yeah, not Ava Utterback, but she's redshirting, so you won't see her on the court at all this year.
So certainly we put that one in the W column and move on tomorrow. Obviously, the one that a lot of people have really waited for it to come up here this year for the Cards is they going to be entertaining a very, very strong Stanford squad, Jeff.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit battle. I hope it's a battle. It's one of those. They're not going to be an easy team to beat. They're playing extremely well this year. They've got a couple of really great, really, really great players in National Player of the Year contention sort of levels. And almost undefeated. I think, who did they lose to? Nebraska, I think.
Correct.
So that's a pretty impressive record there on the year so far. They're not going to go down easily. As we were exiting LNN last night, I heard somebody comment and said, "Man, if we play like this, and like we played tonight, like we play Sunday, we're going to get a win." And I'm kind of thinking, I am not so sure.
I don't think that's
So,
true. I don't think Louisville played very well last night at all.
yeah, it's like our offense is not really that spectacular. So, yeah, I mean, defensively we're amazing, but credit some to Cal for having pretty scrappy scrambling defense. But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to be top of our game, absolutely, to be able to beat Stanford tomorrow.
The Cardinal, not the Cardinals, but the Cardinal out in Stanford comes in here 9-1, and as we mentioned, they are now third in the nation. I think they dropped from second to third this week, if I'm not mistaken on that.
That's correct.
So certainly a team that has a lot of strengths and power, and certainly a game that was, obviously you want to hold something this big in the KFC Yum Center to get the fan attendance in there, whether they can reach the 14,000 again or not. And that'll depend. It's not Nebraska, but a lot of people will look at Stanford as being a powerhouse, and certainly I, I think the chances are we're going to get more than 10, right, Jeff, down there to more than 10,000?
Yeah, I would expect. Yeah, I don't know. Sunday afternoon sometimes knocks the numbers down a little bit. Depending upon what the weather does, could knock some numbers down a little bit. People not wanting to get out in the rain so much. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think we could. I think we very possibly could see 10, but it might be less than that. I think it'll be, relevant to the discussion earlier of arenas and possibly building one. I think it'll be an interesting data point for that.
This one will be on ESPN if you want to play along at home and are unable to get out to watch it. And certainly, if you can get down there by any means, certainly do so. I had good intentions to go earlier this week, but unfortunately won't be able to get down there tomorrow. But certainly will be trying to monitor it as best I can on ESPN. The Cards will come into this one also with just one loss as well. No, two losses. I'm sorry. They fell to Penn State early on in the season. A whitewash at the hands of the Nittany Lions, and then certainly Nebraska. Last Sunday, another straight set win against Louisville, the Cornhuskers, with that one. So I don't think it's really a thing where Danny Busboom Kelly has a whole lot to worry about. Do you, Jeff?
No, the losses that we've taken have been to these, top. Have they all been the top 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
Penn State is currently number 4. Nebraska's currently number 2.
Yeah, have all been the top 5, and even if we lose tomorrow, that will still hold. Those aren't bad losses. Those are not losses that are going to hurt us in the NCAA selection all that much. It may move us down a seed line or two. And like I said earlier, that's a little bit, we're on that borderline of that 4 and 5 where we want to be able to host those third and fourth rounds. But you're still going to get a good seed. You're still going to get a pretty good draw to get through the tournament, even if we lose these, and even if it knocks us down a seed line or two.
I think what's interesting is Louisville, and we're going to learn a lot tomorrow. Louisville and Stanford are almost identical. They both have beaten Kentucky and Wisconsin 3-1. They both have gotten swept by Nebraska. And Stanford didn't play Penn State. So, they're kind of the same team, which is why you see one at 3 and one at 5. I think a lot of the voters think that they're kind of the same team. And I think after tomorrow, we'll know even more about either one of them. And maybe it goes 5 sets and we still don't learn which one's better.
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah.
I mean, we play again later in the year, so we could rubber match against this team.
Mm-hmm.
So
the Cards will actually end their season on November 30th out at Stanford.
Yep.
And this will
Maples.
be, yeah, in Maples, a pavilion out there.
Mm-hmm.
And this being, I think this is not the first, but well, maybe it is the first ACC match for Louisville. The non-conference schedule is gone now, right? There's nothing left until obviously if the Cards get into the NCAA tournament and start playing non-conference shows there.
Correct. There are no more non-conference matches in the regular season. Cal was the first conference, and all of the rest of them. There's no mixing like field hockey and soccer sometimes do. So
Basketball, yeah.
As you
Yeah,
kind of take
basketball.
a look down the stretch of the schedule and what Louisville has to do, kind of noticing they do get to start at with three, actually four, if you look at it, four nice home games to begin ACC play, which is very, I think, beneficial than just one trip to Florida to take on FSU and Miami,
hmm
and then back up here for two more. So an advantageous, I think, start to an ACC schedule where you always feel better when you're getting a chance to play at home in front of a good rowdy crowd, and the Cards certainly have got that advantage for them, Jeff.
Yeah, we've got a pretty nice schedule lineup this year. There's a lot of home matches. A trip to Florida in the middle of October doesn't suck. You know, um, but the crazy one, and this is a lot of ACC teams are having to deal with this year, is the Pittsburgh SMU weekend, where we go to Pittsburgh on Friday and then Dallas on Sunday. So, but with Pitt and SMU as travel partners, anybody that drew them this year as away matches is dealing with that scheduling issue. But otherwise, pretty nice.
Two pretty decent programs too.
Yeah,
Kids especially.
Pitt is amazing. They're the top team in the country right now. SMU, but I don't know if you saw, knocked off Georgia Tech last night.
And that's coming after their sweep of Nebraska earlier this season.
Yeah, and it's so a bit of an upset there. So interesting things.
Certainly.
Has Pitt lost a set yet?
Oh,
that would
that's
be
a good
interesting.
question.
Have
they
They
went
hadn't.
a long.
They hadn't for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me go see if I can figure that out.
Jeff is looking at that. We'll kind of take a look at the Sunday against Stanford. In case you've watched a little bit of this team this year, obviously we know our strengths in DeBeer and some many others. What's the one thing the Cards are going to kind of have to worry about against Stanford? You mentioned they're two very, very similar teams. This one looks to all possibilities as being one that's going to be settled right at the net with the blocking and then the success both teams have in that.
Louisville's got to get out of their own way. The loss to Penn State and then the loss to Nebraska. They're similar and different. Penn State, Louisville never really got it going. They might as well have not gotten off the bus in that game. But Nebraska, they showed some more fight. I think being at home was part of that. If that match is in Lincoln, it might have gone the exact same way as the Penn State match. Louisville was just in their heads, weren't able to recover from getting down early, and were never really competitive. And Louisville's played from ahead in most of their matches this season. So losing the first set to Stanford could be very detrimental. It would be good to see them recover if they lose the first set and refocus. And it's not something we've seen outside of Creighton so far this year. So yeah, that would be my recommendation: is stay out of their own heads and stay out of their own way, and should manage well against Stanford.
Pitt has not lost a set in regulation. They did lose. They did go 5 against Michigan in exhibition, but otherwise they have not. But then, yesterday they played East Carolina, so
Sure, but they did play Penn State.
They did play. I mean, yeah, they've got 2 ranked teams that they've played: Penn State and Oregon.
Yeah, it's not.
And
It's not quite the.
it's not the strength of
the
schedule we have.
yeah,
Yeah.
or the others. Nebraska, Kentucky,
Right.
Stanford, Wisconsin. Who
Right.
you look at their schedules and they're all on each other's schedules.
Right.
So
One of the quirks of the volleyball schedule, and I guess it was a nightmare trying to establish an ACC schedule with three new opponents in it, but the Cards are actually playing Notre Dame back to back this year. Which I looked at that and I figured, did I type that in wrong?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
no,
they're going home and home on what is it, Friday and Sunday or Friday and Saturday?
it looks like a Wednesday Saturday
Oh,
mix to
excuse
me.
me, Wednesday is what I meant. Yeah, I knew it was Wednesday. I couldn't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, it is Saturday. So
Which is totally out of the pattern that basically the Cards had been established and have been playing in a Friday Sunday rotation year. And then they're going to all of a sudden go from getting back from SMU on a Sunday game to having Wednesday Notre Dame come in. This one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is this television determined,
no,
Jeff? Or
this is a result of the travel partner system that the ACC uses, and this is um, this Notre Dame in a midweek has frequently been the case for us in scheduling. What's different this year is the additional Notre Dame match, which we frequently played them twice, but the additional one being done right on its heels. So usually that's one of the last matches of the season when we play Notre Dame. But in this case, they've ended up falling on top of each other. But a Wednesday Notre Dame match is not uncommon for us because Notre Dame and us are travel partners. So we can't, those don't fall nicely into that Friday Sunday pattern. So any travel partners in the ACC tend to have this midweek match somewhere in their schedule against their travel partner.
and the way it kind of breaks down is the only other kind of Wednesday Saturday matchup we're going to have the rest of the year. Beside that one is going to be at the end of the year,
Right.
and the Cards will
And that's
bring in Pitt and go to Stanford.
and that's fitting around Thanksgiving as part of that. So yeah,
And those being boy two powerhouses in the ACC too, having to end your
indeed.
season against those two. Wow, that's kind of a that that'll be white knuckle time, I think, right there. We'll see what happens. Certainly, volleyball. And they're getting it done. One of the best players in the nation, one of the best setter in the nation. Certainly, a Cardinal line that is
good if we
well.
had one of the best setters in the nation.
Well,
Yeah, we've got one of the
No
well,
offense.
we do have the best libero in the nation,
Libero.
and I want to shout this out. With Elena Scott being on a watch list for National Player of the Year, and certainly being in the conversation for Conference Player of the Year, I want to comment about just how incredibly rare that sort of discussion is for liberos and DSs. They are basically never considered for those sorts of honors. So for her to do that is really impressive. Puts her on a step above. And there are actually the watch list that came out for National Play of the Year. There were actually two liberos. Unsurprisingly, Lexi Rodriguez from Nebraska was the other one. But that is almost unheard of for liberos and DSs to get that level of honor.
You know what I would have really liked? I would have really liked if Nebraska hit it to Elena Scott as frequently as Louisville hit it to Lexi Rodriguez the other day.
Yeah.
That'd have been good. Because
Yep.
then maybe we would have had some better in-system plays.
And one of the things that a lot of people don't know about Elena is that she was asked to change positions when she got to Louisville by Denny Busman Kelly, Jeff.
Yeah, she was a setter in high school and in club play, and I would say she was asked to change positions by DBK. I think she kind of knew she was going to be moving positions anyway, but definitely when she got here to Louisville, it was definitely like, yeah, okay, you're not going to be a setter, you're not tall enough, basically. At 5'9", that's a very undersized setter in college play, so she shifted over to that libero position and just has, obviously, as much as we've talked about it, just excelled at it. And It surprised everyone, other than maybe herself and her parents, just how well she's done at it. But she's a consummate athlete. Um, Stick her in any sport, and she's gonna do well. She's one of those people. It's just like, ugh. I wish I could be that.
So certainly another talented one on the card squad as they go on. Moving to an outdoor sport here that we've not talked about yet and may not spend a lot of time on is the Louisville
must we?
women's soccer program. Unfortunately, the soccer, the kicking cards, as I like to call them at times, in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. And two of those come in on the road against a very good Pitt squad, and then they went to Virginia Tech and basically never got off the bus, taking a 5-1 loss to the Hokies at their field over there. Case, this was just tough to watch, wasn't it?
I mean, what did I say last week? I said don't go get blown out by Virginia Tech. Like,
obviously, they were not listening down on the Belknap campus.
apparently, they give up 2 goals in the first 30 minutes, and then that's all she wrote. They managed to get 1 back in the second half, but they gave up 3. So 5-1 loss. Virginia Tech decent, but not quite so good that you would have expected that kind of something. Just there's not a whole lot to say. I wasn't able to watch this one, but yeah, you look at it and trying to get to as I suspected, Aaron Floyd did get back in the game, but she didn't start. Kaylee Kimball still started, played 76 minutes. So Aaron Floyd got worked back in late in that game. She posted almost 15 clean minutes. So, yay.
Well, by then, yeah,
which means you were already down 5-0 or 5-1
yeah,
after 75 minutes. But yeah, there's not a lot to say. Louisville got 5 total shots. Louisville had as many shots as Virginia Tech had goals. So
yeah, when you're giving up a goal over 15 minutes, it's not a good situation. But certainly the Cards
every 12. They scored all 5 of their goals in the first 63 minutes of the match.
Oh, okay, yeah, it would be 12 then, yeah, for sure. Woof. And certainly the Cards, maybe a bit of fool's gold early for us as we saw them jump out, and we were, cruising right along, looking fantastic. They did not have a loss on their record. A couple ties, but still nothing as they went into their last non-conference game as they went up against Dayton. Unfortunately, fell to Dayton here, 1-0. But a rather unauspicious start to conference play. 0-2. They've averaged 1 goal in their last 2 games. Does it get any easier with North Carolina State here? Case I haven't really looked at what
it should
have too much.
It should get easier with North Carolina State, but that doesn't mean that it will. We may have fallen into the trap of, before the season started, we talked about how so much of the schedule, so many of the non-conference teams were ahead of Louisville in last year's RPI rankings. And so for Louisville to come out and do well in the non-conference was good. The problem was that Louisville was so far down in the RPI rankings last year that to be ahead of them was no mean feat. And some of those teams have probably gotten worse. And so you're still playing a bunch of not very good teams in non-conference. And then you come out, Pittsburgh is a good team, and you had to play them on the road, and they took care of business. You go on the road to Virginia Tech, you had 12 days off. They give up 5 goals in 63 minutes when you had 12 days off. Um, that's just I don't get it.
Well, it kind of makes you wonder what they were doing in those 12 days off. Yeah. Going to the amusement park, taking boat rides. I mean, you would think that they would. Well, anyway, it's hard for me to say. I can't say for sure, but
Yeah.
the thing about this one, and we'll cover this real quickly here. The Cards actually had a chance to be tied early in the second half because right at the end of first half play, they had a wide open shot on the goal. There was no net presence at all, and unfortunately, she just kind of pushed it off to the left there, and it did not go in. Somehow missed, and then early in the second half, boom, we get the first goal. So this could have been a 2-2 contest early in the second half, case.
Yeah. Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Three strong words, no doubt about that for sure. So, what's the answer here for Louisville? I mean, maybe we get a win today or tomorrow, but the rest of the
Get
road.
Aaron Floyd back healthy and hope for the best.
And do we know if it's an actual injury they
I
had her out, or
I can only hope that that was the case.
I can't think of any other reason that I've seen. It certainly doesn't seem to be performance.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, it certainly has been a stalwart, a goalkeeper, but let's see what happens with it as Louisville try to right the ship that's slowly sinking here. Uh, yeah, I wish I could be more positive about the program and the things that I have to say about it and all, but there's some awfully good conference foes here in women's soccer in the ACC, and unfortunately, we're not one of them.
So this is likely bad luck, or just luck, right? Of who we've played. Aaron Floyd has played in 8 games. She's got 7 starts. Louisville her record is 5-2, or 5-0-2. Sorry, she has not taken a loss. She's given up 3 goals, but she's only got 3 saves. So in the games that she's playing, Louisville is not, really getting threatened defensively. Kaylee Kimball is the official owner of all 3 of Louisville's losses. She's given up 10 goals, but she has 16 saves. So her save percentage is actually higher than Aaron Floyd's. But some of those goals, I mean, at least one of the goals against Aaron Floyd was arguably an own goal. It's very unclear. So not really sure what happened there. And it's not like she suddenly went on some bad run of form that made it make sense to bring Kaylee Kimball in. So I think it had to have been an injury, and it's been bad luck for Kimball to have had to play against some of the very difficult opponents that she's facing. But yeah, I think that, you look at the Pittsburgh match. I think Kimball had 8 or 9 saves in that match, of her 16, and so could Kaylee, or could Aaron Floyd have done that? Probably. She's very good. We've talked about her being very good, and it's just tough to say.
A big
Kimball only
testament,
had 3 saves
Yeah.
last night, or Thursday night. So
a huge testament to Aaron Floyd is the Cards had only allowed 6 goals after the Dayton match, and then all of a sudden, in the next 2 contests, they allow 8 goals. So yeah, the casual observer would say, "Gee, something's wrong in goal," but that's certainly not always the case. But 2 very, very strong opponents in Pitt and Virginia Tech that kind of said to us, "You know what? Welcome back to the ACC. Now it's time for us to kick your butts. Are you ready? Okay, here we go." Sad but true. Moving on over just a little bit to field hockey. Do want to talk just a little bit about that. Unfortunately, today the Cards take a waterlogged Traeger Stadium out there. Jeff and I were talking about they did not need the water cannons today to wet down the field at halftime. People were in the stands with umbrellas.
I thought they might pull out the inflatable dinghies instead.
Yeah, you figured the rubber rafts would have been
Oh.
maybe to get an offensive attack going that way. But, Louisville, unfortunately, not able to get a goal on board, Jeff.
No, it was a shutout. Again, this was mentioned kind of in case mentioned at the top of the show that this is a really good Boston College team. So they came out, really put it to us, shut down the offense, and that's you hate to see it. You kind of look at the record of this field hockey squad this year, and you go, oh, 5-4. That's not spectacular, but then you also look at the competition and you're like, well, again, they're playing some really tough competition. So it's hard to draw too many conclusions on this, at least I think, from my knowledge of the situation.
Yeah, 5-4 for Justine Sari does seem a little unusual. The Cards in field hockey, and unlike a lot of the other conferences, they're still going to have some non-conference games now coming on. As certainly one of them being Ohio State tomorrow, and a very good Ohio State team up there, and they'll also end the season at UC Davis as Louisville ends their field hockey season out there. As far as women's soccer goes, though, and what Louisville has to do, there's just not that score this year, is there, guys?
I assume you mean field hockey. Or do you mean women's soccer?
Yeah, I meant women's soccer. I'm sorry. I got kind of on a tangent there. And
women's soccer does not. No, they do not have that.
Actually, they have 5 home games in a row 4 home games in a row to almost end the season. Then women's soccer ends at Clemson. But yeah, that's the score that the Cards have had in past years out there. That one person that you could count on getting a goal just doesn't seem to be present for women's soccer, does it?
Louisville's leading scorer is still their center defender. So
yeah, that's not ideal. I mean, good for her, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's cleaning up.
Yeah.
She's doing exactly what she's supposed to do. Amber Jackson, I think, early we thought that she would be a strong contender as a striker. She's lost favor. She's not starting. She hasn't scored in quite some time. She scored 3 goals early. Mackenzie Geigley scored 3 goals, I think, in the first 3 matches. She's only scored 4 now total. Louisville's assist leader is still Brooke Dardano, who has gotten most of those from corners. It's just the offense is well spread out. I mean, they've scored 21 goals, but not against the teams that they need to be scoring them against. I would expect at this point in the season for Betsy Huckabee to have more than 1 goal. I would expect for Lauren Contini to maybe have scored more than 1 goal. Fina Davy has 4 starts at striker. It's just they are not able to find the back of the net, and that's not ideal.
And I enjoyed listening to Katie Snyder, former Louisville field hockey great, who was on the color analysis today of the actual game that they were showing on the ACC Network Extra. Certainly she and her sister, 2 very, very strong players during their times here, guys. And she said, well, we're still playing in Justine Sari's system. It's just that we're not getting the results that we get usually out of it. Well, that leads to me player personnel. Am I wrong here? Or
So we're back to field hockey again. Man, I am trying to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is your head spinning just as much as mine?
Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
But and I mentioned we wouldn't spend much time on women's soccer because literally, case, what is there to look forward to here?
Let's be done with them. We're gonna beat NC State tomorrow, and then maybe their season will be over.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, well, but yeah. So field hockey at 5-4, I don't think it's the end of the world for them. They've played a lot of really tough teams early in this season, and we've talked about that some to this point. but similarly to soccer, they haven't had that scorer that we've needed, and they haven't had it for a couple of years now. Since Mercedes Pastor, probably. And Amy Plum has shown flashes and been very good at scoring. I think we hoped for more from the Plum connection this season. We got some good wins, or got some good progress from them last year, and I think we expected more from them this year, and it's been kind of the same, which is not bad, but it's not really the step up that we were thinking we would see. So, yeah, they're similar to soccer. They've just not been as able to put the ball in the back of the net this season. They've only got, if this would load, they've only got 17 goals so far this season, averaging under 2 goals per game, which that's not the offense that we've seen out of this team in the past.
We hope for both of those sports too, kind of women's soccer and field hockey, to jump back and get things rolling again. Did want to spend just a little time on women's basketball as well, as Jeff Waltz had his annual, I guess, first press conference of the season. Daryl went down to cover it for us, being there on campus, and a bit apprehensive at first, saying, well, the last time he was 15 minutes late and I couldn't stay for it. And they actually moved the time on this one to start at 1 o'clock when they had the actual press conference Tuesday. Daryl was in attendance for that. And it's a 45-minute presser, which Walls can talk, but you never really see him talk that long
Yeah,
in one.
that's
He
only
kind of likes, yeah, he likes to get it done, Jeff, pretty quickly, what he has to say. And then in past years, the media has been able to actually go down and talk with the players after his initial press conference of the year. They did not do that this year. They went straight into practice after, and were practicing actually while Walls was addressing the media on Tuesday. So interesting change there. Some thoughts on what Walls had to say, guys? Did anybody catch any of this beside me?
unfortunately, I did not.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so well,
So what are your
you're
thoughts?
Yeah,
you're excused. That's fine. I understand how it is, and certainly the time was kind of weird. I couldn't get down for it, unfortunately. Would have loved to gone, but could not make it. But just listening to it and what I heard and what I saw, I think he's quietly optimistic about the talent of the freshmen that are coming into the program. Uh, as he kind of said, they're freshmen. Some days they're going to look like fifth year players. Some days they're going to look like freshmen. He said that's just the nature of the players. He said, but I really like the way that they come out with a unity and an attitude that, hey, we're going to make a name for ourselves. We're going to play some good basketball. And he also touched on a couple of other things, a few more players. He was able to spend time with the elf over in Turkey. And no, that's not a children's book. He was over there coaching the Turkish national team. And of course, Elof was over there playing for the Turkish national team. So he was able to spend a little extra time than normal with her and watching her, and was really glowing, guys, about how she has improved dramatically in his eyes from her freshman season to what she looked like in the off season over there playing in Turkey. How will that translate out when she gets into our season here? We can only hope that it'll carry over and continue to grow.
Yeah, in the past we've seen when these sorts of situations have arisen where a coach and a player gets to go and off season and compete in some international format or whatever, it does boost their ability to work with each other and understand each other and understand the system. And we usually see that player come back and be a a stronger contributor to the team, not necessarily superstar standout, but a stronger contributor to the team. LF was already, on her way to being a pretty good player. She showed some real moments of brilliance last year. So I can only hope that we're going to see that out and play out again and see her, take a big step forward this year.
Well, the guys was also very complimentary on Nyla Harris coming back for another year, and he said she just looks lights out. That she's going to really, really be a strong leadership presence on this team. It's certainly good to hear because you could see the potential in her when she
Mhm.
first got here, and some of the play that she had was pretty interesting. And then he went on one of his almost expected Jeff Walls rants, although it wasn't so much about sports or what he's done in his career, but that he is getting now the occasional email and text about his
Voicemail.
brother
Yeah, his
and
air
voicemail.
quote brother. Yeah.
His air quote brother, our vice presidential candidate for the election this fall, uh, Tim Walls. Uh, and he was called out because he wasn't supporting his brother as much as this caller thought he should have. And he was like, "Okay, have you really checked it? Have you really researched this?" He said, "No,
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert told me." And he said, "Well, take a look at my history." And he says, "I have brothers and sisters, but unfortunately, none of them are running for public office." He said, "I think you're thinking of somebody completely different beside me." And the guy kind of backtracked and then said, "Oh, you're a basketball coach. Okay, well, never mind," and hung up. So,
Yeah. Much entertainment to be had if you're inclined that way. Yeah.
so but it's certainly he's got the makings of a really good team this year, and then I'm going to be
Mhm.
very excited to see how that works out for them. Kind of taking a look at as they will do this year, the teams will actually have 18 conference games in the season, and that seems high to me, but with the three additions, obviously, no, it makes sense to me now. But we'll actually start this thing at when they get into action on December 15th at home for their conference part of the schedule, as they will bring in always tough Westmore, and of course the guy that we love so much, NC State's head coach. Uh, a very good rivalry there with him as well. You take a look at the powerhouses in women's basketball this year, and I know you guys probably haven't gotten into it a whole lot, but certainly Notre Dame has got a very, very strong contingent of players this year, and also North Carolina. You certainly cannot ignore them or NC State. What will Stanford bring, and what will Cal bring? What will SMU bring to the table? All these things we have yet to see, fellas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the new additions. Stanford is new coach this year, right?
Yeah, first year
Uh,
without Tara Vanderveer.
Yeah,
yeah,
no terror.
she retired. It's a new coach there. That'll be an interesting twist on that as well to see what they do there.
New, quote unquote. It's one of
Yeah, it
those
was
situations where
promotion of an.
the
Uh,
assistant that's been there for 17 years or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So there's going to be some similarities, going to be echoes of how the team has played in the past. But yeah, so
Louisville will continue to be a media darling, as you like to call them sometimes, as 14 of their league games will be featured on national television. It's 14 out of 18 on national TV, guys. That's pretty spectacular.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, ABC, Fox, ESPN, ESPN2. Pretty nice indeed to get the name out there. If people don't know who Louisville is in women's basketball, anyway, they've probably been living in outer Siberia and haven't had television contact for the last 30 years. But the Cards certainly we'll try to give it a run. And of course, we'll play Notre Dame twice this year. The only opponent that Louisville will face twice this year, fellas, in the upcoming season. So, other than that, guys, I'm taking a look here. We are already at the noon hour. Hard to believe. Wow, the show has just kind of flown by today. But we will go ahead and proceed into our final thoughts then. Jeff, why don't you start us out this week with final thoughts?
Yeah, we just kind of wrapped up there with a bit of women's basketball. I want to shout out the women's basketball players, along with Jeff Walls as coach, for really supporting other programs on campus. They were front row, front and center in student section at the Nebraska match, showing their hype. They, got a couple of them, Niall Harris, Mercedes, doing some videos with some of the other programs, and entertaining for sure. So definitely love to see their spirit and their support. Card supporting cards is the phrase that we like to use. So yeah, shout out to them for being great teammates, not just on the individual team, but across the athletic department.
Indeed, it is. And certainly they do love to attend the events. Case, what you got for us here? Final thoughts?
Um, I would say that I'm excited that both of the teams that have played one of the new ACC conference foes have won those matches in their opening ACC matches. Field hockey taking down Stanford, and then volleyball taking down Cal. Unfortunately, volleyball won't get to continue that trend, as tomorrow won't be Stanford's first ACC match. But we will hope to see them leave the new teams winless they won't be winless against Louisville in the ACC. That'd be good.
Yeah, Stanford did beat.
They beat Notre Dame yesterday. Yeah,
yesterday. Yeah, 3-1, I think. Notre Dame took.
Yeah, maybe I didn't.
Yeah.
I saw earlier that they beat them. I didn't pay attention to what that final set score was, but Stanford volleyball went and won their first ACC match, which whatever. But see if we can keep them from winning their first ACC match against Louisville.
Definitely no love for the Cardinal.
There's no love for me on whatever happens on the ESPN broadcast tomorrow, and Cardinals are forever interchanged.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get it right for this one. Jeez.
It didn't happen last time. It didn't happen last time we played Stanford.
Sure,
volleyball.
but
I bet a man would say no.
Conference mates now. It makes it even more important to get it right. So I don't know.
Yeah, you always, if you get confused, just refer to them as the trees. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what their logo is anyway. But just kind of for me on final thoughts, fellas, just a kind of a look back at the Nebraska match. It was unfortunately a match that wasn't that rewarding and fun to sit through, but we're kind of rewarded and happy to see Jeff Walls there with his youngest daughter, Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
She is a volleyball fan, and I asked her point blank, I said, "Are you going to be a basketball player for your daddy?" She goes, "No, I like volleyball." Straight out.
Yeah.
And then we also had a little incident at volleyball where I got to sit the entire game with Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
Thanks to an undergrad making out the name tags for the media seating. I am now married to a black lesbian comedian. I didn't realize that. Walls got a big kick out of that when he saw it, too.
Yeah.
and he was like, saying, "You don't look like Wanda Sykes." Maybe it's just my, maybe it's just my luck in volleyball and stuff like that, where I'm not there every contest, and certainly I can guess the volleyball interns that work for the SID of that athletic program are familiar with me. But after Wanda Sykes, I don't know who's next. I don't know who I can go to a game with. There used to be a Sykes who was a lead guitarist years ago in uh, a rock band, but I doubt he decides to come to town and sit with me either. Other than that, there's just not a lot of Sykeses out there. But certainly, we're glad to have you with us on today's broadcast. Got some fun stuff going on today. Certainly, enjoy it. And it doesn't look like it's raining outside my window right now. Hopefully, it's kind of dried up where you are at. I think we've had enough rain to last for a while. So, everybody, have yourselves a great rest of the weekend. And thanks for listening to Cardinal Couple Radio Hour Podcast. Go Cards.